The laugh in the throne room. The doors of the alien palace opened with a loud sound. Inside, hundreds of alien warriors stood in rows, their eyes turned toward the entrance. They were tall, strong, and proud. They had sharp faces, glowing eyes, and thick armor made of shining stone. They were the best fighters of the galaxy. A human stepped into the room. His name was Ryan. He wore big, heavy armor that covered his whole body. His helmet hid his face. He walked slowly, each step making a loud sound on the floor. His back was straight, but his arms stayed at his sides. He did not speak. He just walked forward, one step at a time. The alien warriors began to whisper. "This is the human warrior," one said. "He moves like an old robot," said another. Then came the sound of laughter. It echoed through the great hall. Princess Varilla, daughter of the alien king, stood on the royal steps. She wore light silver armor that showed her beauty and power. Her long white hair flowed down her back. She looked at Ryan and laughed. "This is the human they sent," she said loudly. "This is the warrior from Earth. He is so slow. Is he made of stone?" More laughter filled the hall. Some aliens clapped. Others pointed at Ryan. They thought he was weak, small, and useless. Ryan did not react. He kept walking until he stood at the center of the hall, in front of the throne. The alien king looked down at him. His voice was deep. "Human, you are far from your world. This is the palace of warriors. We fight with honor and strength. Are you ready to prove yourself?" Ryan nodded once. His voice was calm and quiet behind his helmet. "I am ready." The king raised his hand, and silence filled the hall. "You will take part in our warrior trials," the king said. "If you fail, you go home in shame. If you win, you earn our respect." Ryan bowed his head slightly. He said nothing more. After the meeting, Princess Varilla came close to him. Her eyes were sharp. She smiled, but not in a kind way. "Do you really think you can pass the trials, human?" she asked. "You wear armor like a child playing soldier." Ryan looked at her, but his helmet hid his eyes. "We'll see," he said. Varilla scoffed and walked away. That night, the aliens returned to their training. They laughed and shared stories. But Ryan stayed quiet. He walked alone to the training field. No one followed him. They didn't think he was worth watching. But one pair of eyes did follow him. Princess Varilla, curious and bored, stood in the shadows. She watched the human from behind a wall. Ryan looked around the field. It was empty. He slowly took off his helmet. His face was calm, serious, and focused. Then he moved. His body jumped high in the air. He flipped. He kicked the air so fast it made a sound like wind. He punched stone blocks, breaking them with one hit. He moved like water, fast, smooth, and strong. Nothing like the slow, heavy man from the throne room. Varilla's eyes grew wide. She leaned forward, surprised. "How?" she whispered. Ryan trained for hours, alone. When he was done, he sat down, took a deep breath, and looked up at the stars. He put his helmet back on and walked away. Varilla stayed hidden. Her heart was beating fast. The human was not weak. He was hiding his power. But why? She didn't sleep that night. The trials begin. The sun rose over the alien world of Veltrax, casting a pale blue light across the high towers and silver trees. The training fields outside the palace were already full. Warriors from many star systems stood in a wide circle, ready for the first trial. It was the beginning of the great warrior tests, and everyone was watching. Ryan stood among them. His armor still covered his body. It was scratched and old. His helmet hid his face, just like before. He didn't speak to anyone. He didn't stretch. He didn't move much. He just waited, calm and quiet. Princess Varilla stood at the top of a stone balcony, watching everything. Her silver eyes were fixed on the human. After what she saw the night before, his strength, his speed, his silence. She wasn't laughing anymore, but she didn't speak about it either. Not yet. She wanted to see what he would do now, in front of everyone. The alien king raised his hand. The crowd grew quiet. "Warriors," he said, "today you face the first trial. The beast of Orkan." A loud roar echoed from the deep cave behind the field. A gate opened, and something massive stepped out. It was a four-legged beast, taller than a house, with red scales and glowing yellow eyes. Its claws tore the ground. Its breath was thick smoke. Chains held it back, barely. "You must work together," the king said. "If you win, you move to the next trial. If you fail, you leave in shame." The warriors prepared their weapons. Spears charged with light, swords made of star metal, shields of fire. Ryan had none of these, just his old armor. And silence. The chains dropped. The beast roared and ran into the field. Some warriors rushed forward, yelling. Others held back, forming groups. The alien fighters were strong and brave, but also loud and proud. Many attacked the beast alone, hoping to show off. It didn't work. The beast threw warriors across the field like toys. Some ran. Some were crushed. Chaos spread quickly. Virilla watched closely. She didn't look at the beast. She looked at Ryan. He still hadn't moved. "What are you waiting for?" One alien shouted at him as he ran past. "Go fight." Ryan didn't answer. Then the beast turned toward a young warrior who had fallen. The creature opened its jaws. The warrior screamed. That's when Ryan moved. He ran faster than anyone had seen. In seconds, he crossed the field. He didn't shout. He didn't roar. He just moved. He jumped between the beast and the fallen warrior. He raised one hand and punched the beast in the jaw. The sound rang out like thunder. The beast staggered back. The crowd gasped. Ryan helped the young warrior to his feet and then turned back to the monster. The beast charged again. Ryan rolled under it. He kicked its back leg, making it stumble. He grabbed a fallen spear and threw it, not at the beast's head, but at the ground. It hit a weak spot, and the ground cracked. The beast's foot sank into the earth. It fell, roaring in anger. The warriors saw what he had done. They joined in. Together, using Ryan's plan, they brought the beast down. It took time, sweat, and pain, but they won. When the fight ended, the warriors stood around the beast, breathing hard. Many were hurt, many were shocked, and all eyes turned to Ryan. He was already walking away, silent. The alien king stood slowly from his throne. His face showed surprise, but also respect. "You saved your team, human," he said, "and you did not seek glory." Ryan turned to face him, but said nothing. Princess Virilla stepped forward. She looked at him, then spoke loud enough for all to hear. "You moved faster than any of us. You fought smarter than all of us. You saved someone without thinking. And you never removed your helmet. Why?" Ryan paused. "Because my armor is not to protect me," he said. "It's to protect all of you from what I truly am." The crowd grew silent. Some thought he was joking. Others felt a chill in their spine. The human was hiding more than just strength. Virilla looked into his helmet. She still didn't know who he really was, but one thing was clear. He was not weak. And he was not afraid. And now, everyone else knew it too, the hidden strength. The stars shone bright above the alien city that night, but the palace grounds were quiet. Most warriors slept after the hard battle against the beast. Some still spoke of the human who had surprised them all. Ryan, the one who fought without showing his face. The one who saved others, but asked for nothing. In her private chamber, Princess Virilla stood at her window, looking out across the silver training fields. Her mind was full of questions. She remembered how Ryan had moved. Too fast, too focused, too skilled to be called weak. But why did he still hide behind that old armor? And what did he mean when he said his armor protected others from what he truly was? She couldn't sleep. Viola grabbed her cloak and left the palace. She moved quietly, not wanting guards to stop her. Like a shadow, she slipped through the halls and stepped into the cold night air. The wind touched her face, but her heart was warm with curiosity. She had to see more. Down at the far end of the training fields, past the lights, past the guards, there was a hidden valley with stone pillars and ancient statues of old warriors. No one trained there anymore. But tonight, Varela saw a faint glow between the rocks. She crouched behind a tall stone, her breath quiet. Ryan stood in the center of the valley. But this time, he wore no helmet. He had taken off all his armor. His back was to her, and even from a distance, she could see the scars. Long, deep marks covered his arms and shoulders. Not the clean cuts of knives, but the marks of battles, of pain, of survival. His body was not huge like the alien warriors. He was lean, built like steel wire, every muscle small but sharp, controlled. He moved slowly at first, stretching his arms, rolling his neck, taking deep breaths. Then he began. His movements were fast, sharp, beautiful. He leaped into the air, kicked off a pillar, flipped, and landed like a whisper. He punched with speed so fast her eyes almost missed it. He hit stone with his bare hands and cracked it. His feet moved in perfect rhythm. No wasted motion, no sound. His whole body flowed like water, but struck like lightning. Viola couldn't believe her eyes. This wasn't just training. This was something else. A dance of power and silence. And through it all, Ryan made no noise. No yelling. No pride. Only focus. After an hour, he stopped. He knelt on the cold ground, breathing steady. He looked up at the stars and spoke softly to himself. "Still not enough," he said. "Still not ready." Viola leaned forward, trying to hear more. "They think I'm weak," he continued. "Good. Let them. If they knew the truth, they'd never let me stay." His voice cracked slightly at the end, not with fear, but with memory, with something deeper. Viola stepped back slowly. She didn't want him to see her. Not yet. Her thoughts were spinning. What was he hiding? What had he survived? And why did he speak like he didn't belong? Back in her room, she wrote down everything she saw. She drew quick pictures of his moves. She wrote his words again and again. "Still not ready. Let them think I'm weak." The words stayed in her heart like a secret fire. The next morning, the warriors gathered again for training. The field was full of noise, energy, and pride. Ryan stood among them, helmet back on, armor hiding his body once again. The other warriors now watched him with new eyes. They had seen his power in the trial. They no longer laughed. Some respected him. Others feared him. But no one ignored him now. One large alien warrior named Jurak, known for his pride, stepped toward Ryan. "You're fast, human," he said, "but let's see how you handle a real fight." Ryan turned his head slightly. "Not today," he replied. "Afraid?" Jurak growled. "No," Ryan said simply. "I don't fight to prove myself. I fight when it matters." Jurak scoffed and walked away, but even he looked confused. Viola watched the scene unfold and smiled to herself. She knew now Ryan was not afraid. He just didn't care about pride or showing off. He was here for a reason, a quiet one, a powerful one. As the day went on, Ryan helped another warrior with an injured leg. He carried supplies without being asked. He fixed a training bot with just his hands. He did everything quietly. The other warriors began to whisper again, but not in laughter. This time, they whispered in respect. Who is this human? Why does he hide his strength? And what is he truly capable of? The betrayal. The skies over Veltrax turned dark that evening. Though no clouds passed, there was no storm, just a strange silence in the air, like something was about to happen. the kind of silence before a blade falls. Ryan felt it too. He stood on the far side of the palace garden, helping a young alien boy fix a broken training drone. The boy had no father, just an old mother who worked in the palace kitchens. Ryan had seen them struggling and quietly helped whenever he could. "Thank you, warrior," the boy said, holding the fixed drone tightly. Ryan just nodded. But someone else was watching. In the tall tower above, a warrior named Jurak stood with cold eyes. He was strong, proud, and angry. Ever since Ryan arrived, things had changed. The warriors no longer looked up to him like before. They talked about the human now. They'd whispered his name. They respected Ryan more than they feared Jurak. And he hated that. Jurak had lost attention, lost honor, and in his heart, he blamed Ryan. So he made a choice. That night, Jurak met with an elder council member, Commander Drall. "The human is dangerous," Jurak said, his voice low. "He hides his true power. He lies to us. He's not here for peace. He's here to spy, maybe to destroy." Commander Drall raised an eyebrow. "You have proof." Jurak smiled. "Not yet, but I can get it. Just watch him closely. You'll see." The commander did not fully trust Jurak, but fear was a powerful seed. He agreed to place Ryan under quiet observation. Hidden eyes, hidden ears, secret traps. The next day, the mood across the palace shifted. Small things change. Ryan noticed. The guards at the gates now stared too long. The training bots didn't respond right. The food tasted different. Someone was watching him. Someone was planning something. But Ryan said nothing. Instead, he walked to the training grounds again, just like always. Princess Virilla was already there, speaking to a group of young warriors. Her eyes found Ryan, and she gave him a small nod. She was the only one who treated him the same, still curious, still watching, but not with fear. As the warriors began warm-ups, Commander Drall walked into the field. His voice boomed. "Today, we test something new." He pointed at Ryan. "Human, you will face a combat test, without your armor." The crowd went silent. Ryan looked at him, saying nothing. Virilla stepped forward. "That's not a fair order," she said. "No other warrior is forced to fight without armor." "He wears that armor like a mask," Drall replied. "We must see the man inside." Some warriors nodded. Others looked uncertain. Jurak stood with his arms crossed, smiling. Ryan slowly removed his helmet. Gasps rose from the crowd. They expected weakness, but they saw something else. Scars, hard eyes, quiet strength. He didn't look like a hero, but not like a weakling either. Then he began to remove the rest of the armor. Piece by piece, it came off. The chest plate, the gloves, the boots. Beneath it all, Ryan wore only a simple black training suit, thin and tight to the skin. His body was lean, but marked by deep lines of pain and discipline. Princess Virilla's breath caught. She had seen him train alone, but now the others saw it too. They saw what she saw. This human was not weak. Commander Drall pointed to 3 elite alien warriors. They were bigger, faster, and fully armed. "Your test," he said. The 3 stepped forward, ready to attack. Ryan did not move. Not yet. The first warrior charged, swinging a heavy spear. Ryan ducked, grabbed the spear midair, and spun it around, disarming the warrior and knocking him down with one blow. The second came from the side with twin blades. Ryan stepped aside, grabbed his arm, and flipped him over his shoulder, slamming him into the ground. The third hesitated. Ryan looked at him and said softly, "Don't." The warrior dropped his weapon. Silence. The whole field stared. Virilla stepped forward again, this time louder. "You humiliated him," she said to Drall and Jurak. "You tried to expose him. But all you did was reveal your own fear." Commander Drall clenched his jaw. Jurak looked furious. Ryan stood calmly in the middle of it all. No armor, no weapons, just silence. Viola walked up to him, facing him in front of everyone. "You said your armor was to protect others from what you are," she said. "What are you really?" Ryan looked at her, then the others. "A survivor," he said. "From a place where strength is not measured by muscle, but by what you protect." The warriors listened, even those who doubted him before. Commander Drell turned and left, his plan failing. Jurek walked away too, but this time with hate burning in his eyes. And far above the palace, someone else watched everything from the shadows, someone with their own plans, someone who had been waiting for the human to finally show his true power. A new danger was coming. And now, Ryan had been noticed. The armor falls for 2 days. No one spoke to Ryan directly. They looked at him. They whispered behind his back. They watched from a distance, but no one came close. After the test, Ryan had returned to his room quietly. He had put his armor back on, even though it was no longer needed. Not for protection, not for safety. He wore it like a wall, to keep the world out. But outside that wall, the world was shaking. Princess Virilla stood in the garden of statues, replaying his words again and again. A survivor, from a place where strength is not measured by muscle, but by what you protect. She had seen warriors all her life, champions of strength, speed, power. But Ryan was different. He was quiet, thoughtful, full of control. He fought only when he had to. He helped others without asking for thanks. He never boasted, never demanded attention. And now, his power was no longer a secret. Viola knew something else too. Not everyone liked that. In the shadows of the palace, Jurek met again with Commander Drell, and another, older voice joined them. It was General Verkin, head of Alien War Command. "The human has shown too much," Verkin said. "He's no longer just an outsider. Now the young ones follow him. They call him humble. They call him brave." Jurek spat on the ground. "They forget who he is. He's not one of us." "No," Verkin said, "but he could lead them. That makes him dangerous." "Then we crush him," Jurek growled. "This time, in front of all. No tricks. No games." Verkin nodded. "The final trial begins tomorrow. Give him the honor of leading the team. Then, make sure he never walks out." The next morning, the palace was filled with sound. Trumpets rang through the halls. Flags of every warrior house waved in the wind. Today was the final trial, the great battle. Teams of warriors were to face an enemy simulation. Traps, beasts, and robotic soldiers would be released into the wild jungle arena. Only the strongest team would reach the central tower and light the flame of victory. Princess Virilla stood before the teams, dressed in ceremonial armor. She looked at each group, then stopped at Ryan. "You have been chosen to lead this group," she said. Ryan tilted his head slightly. "Why?" "Because they trust you," she replied, "even if they won't admit it yet." Jurek stood among the team. He gave Ryan a dark smile. "Ready, leader." Ryan said nothing. The gates opened. The trial began. The jungle was thick and wet. Vines wrapped around metal ruins. Robotic beasts waited in the trees. The first traps triggered quickly. Sharp arrows, falling rocks, fire pits. Ryan took command quietly. "Move in pairs," he said. "Watch the trees. Don't fight alone." They followed him, not because they were ordered, but because his calm voice made them feel safe. Ryan led them past 3 traps. He defeated 2 beasts with his bare hands. He lifted a broken pillar to free a trapped warrior. His strength was clear, but still, he held back. And that's when the trap came. In the center of a clearing, a fake distress signal rang. Ryan ran ahead, too fast for the others. The signal was a lie. The trees exploded. Smoke filled the air. From the shadows, 10 elite fighters appeared, sent by General Verkin, disguised as part of the test. Jurek smiled. "Goodbye, human." The other warriors watched in horror from the edge. They couldn't reach Ryan in time. Princess Varilla, watching from the sky tower, leaned forward. Her heart raced. In the center of the smoke, Ryan stood still. The fake warriors closed in. One spoke, "Remove your armor. Face us like a true warrior." Ryan said nothing. Then, slowly, he reached for his helmet. Varilla held her breath. The helmet came off, then the chest plate, then the gloves. One by one, Ryan removed every piece of armor. He stood in the center of the circle, bare, silent, alone. The fake warriors laughed. Then Ryan moved. He disappeared, vanished in a blur of speed. The first enemy flew into the air, broken ribs. The second dropped from a silent strike to the neck. The third didn't even see the punch that knocked him into a tree. The crowd watching the trial began to cheer. But inside the arena, the real fight was only beginning. Ryan fought with no wasted movement. Every step was perfect. Every hit was deadly. He used the environment, tree branches, vines, broken rocks. He used his body like a weapon. No armor, no shield, just instinct, speed, and heart. Shrek attacked him from behind with a hidden blade. Ryan spun, caught the blade midair, and used it to cut down the final attacker. In less than 2 minutes, all enemies were down. The arena went silent. Ryan stood in the middle, breathing slow. Varilla whispered, "He's not a warrior. He's a force." The flame tower lit automatically, the sign of victory. Ryan didn't raise his arms. He didn't smile. He just looked up at the sky, quietly. Later, as he walked back alone, Princess Varilla came to him. "They wanted to break you," she said. "They tried," Ryan replied. "Why didn't you fight them earlier?" He looked at her, because power is not to be used in anger, only in protection. And with that, he kept walking. But high above the planet, in the darkness of space, an old enemy of Earth had just learned Ryan's name. And now, they were coming. The final war. It started with a shadow in the sky. A strange black shape appeared above Veltrax's moons, silent and massive. No warning, no sound, just darkness blocking the stars. Then came the signal, a broken voice through the airwaves. "This is High Command. Unknown fleet approaching." No response. Shields failing. Then the signal died. In the palace of Veltrax, the alarm bells rang. Warriors rushed to their battle stations. Defense ships lifted from the hangars. Princess Varilla stood in the war room beside her father, eyes wide with worry. "What is it?" she asked. General Verkin turned from the radar screen, face pale. "Not pirates. Not a test. This is real." A soldier stepped forward. Identification received. "They are not from this system. They are the Graxon Horde." A silence fell across the room. The Graxon were old enemies of Earth, a brutal alien race that left planets burning in their wake. They took slaves, destroyed cities, and erased cultures. Centuries ago, Earth had nearly been destroyed by them. And now, they were here. The alien king turned toward his daughter. "Call the warriors," he said. "Prepare for war." But Varilla shook her head. "Wait. Call the human." They found Ryan at the edge of the city, helping rebuild a training wall that had fallen. When the guard told him the news, Ryan looked at the sky, then quietly said, "I was wondering when they'd come." He followed the soldiers without question. In the palace war room, commanders spoke in panic. "We are outnumbered," one said. "Our ships are slower." "We must surrender," said another. Ryan stood still. "Do you have a plan, human?" the king asked. Ryan nodded. "Yes, but I need command." Gasps filled the room. Verkin shouted, "He's not one of us. We cannot let an outsider lead our forces." "He is the only one who has faced the Graxon before," Varilla said firmly. "And he is the only one who has won." The king looked at Ryan. "Very well. Command is yours." Ryan stepped forward, calm and ready. He pointed at the radar. They will strike from the west, where your satellites are weakest. We set up an ambush. I'll lead the ground force. Princess Varilla will lead air support. Me? She asked, surprised. You're the only one I trust up there, Ryan said. Varilla felt something warm in her chest, but she nodded and said, Yes, Commander. That night, the planet prepared. Warriors suited up. Families were moved to shelters. Ships were loaded. The sky glowed red as the enemy fleet drew closer. Ryan walked to the battlefield alone. He stood on a cliff, looking into the wind. Varilla found him there, quiet and still. You fought them before, she said. On Earth. He nodded. They came when I was 17. My home was destroyed. My family didn't survive. I joined the resistance. We had no weapons, no ships, just broken people. But we fought. How did you win? She asked. Ryan looked at her. We didn't. Not really. We just survived. He paused. But this time, I won't just survive. This time, I will stop them. Varilla touched his hand. It was the first time she had ever seen him afraid. Not for himself, but for others. Then the first shot fell from the sky. A fireball ripped through the clouds and slammed into the outer city. Alarms screamed. The war had begun. Ryan turned. Go, he said to Varilla. They need you in the sky. And you. He smiled softly. I'm going to remind them what humans can do. The battlefield was chaos. Enemy dropships landed fast. Graxon warriors, tall, armored monsters, poured out. Their weapons burned the ground. They roared like wild animals. Ryan led the charge from the front. No armor, no helmet, just his black suit, his hands, and his will. He moved through the battlefield like a storm. He dodged blasts. He knocked down giants. He broke weapons with his bare hands. Warriors from Veltrax followed him, shouting in unity. Even Jurak, who once hated him, now fought beside him. Watch the left, Ryan shouted. Trap them near the canyon. Above, Varilla flew in her ship, leading air attacks. She watched Ryan from the sky and felt something grow in her chest. Not just respect, something more. The Graxon tried to surround Ryan. They fired everything they had, but Ryan ran straight into them. He grabbed one soldier's cannon and used it to take out 3 more. He leaped onto a dropship and tore the engine out with his bare hands. The ship crashed. Ryan rolled away alive. The alien warriors of Veltrax screamed in joy. For Veltrax. For the human. The tide turned. Enemy forces began to fall back. Their leader, a giant Graxon general, landed in the center field. He pointed at Ryan. You, Earthblood, I remember your world. I burned your cities. Ryan's voice was quiet. Then this is justice. The two charged. The battle was brutal. Fists against claws. Strength against rage. Both were hurt, both bold. But in the end, Ryan stood tall. The Graxon general lay broken beneath him. As the enemy fleet retreated into the stars, Veltrax rose in cheer. The war was over. The people gathered around Ryan, cheering his name, but he didn't raise his arms. He walked to Varilla and said, Are your people safe? She nodded, smiling. Because of you. The alien king stepped forward. You are no longer just a visitor. You are one of us now. Ryan looked at the crowd, and for the first time, he allowed himself to smile. The princess bows. The battle was over, but the scars remained. Across the fields of Veltrax, the smoke had cleared, but the smell of ash still lingered. Broken ships lay like bones across the land. Wounded warriors were carried gently through the streets. Families reunited. Children cried with joy. And above all, there was silence. A silence of peace. In the center of the city, a tall silver flame now burned. The flame of victory. It had not been lit by a general. Not by a king, but by a human. Ryan. He stood at the edge of the palace steps, away from the crowd, wearing only his black training clothes. His armor was gone now. He had no need for it. People passed him in the street and nodded with deep respect. Some placed their hands on their hearts. Others just smiled. But Ryan didn't stand for attention. He just watched the sky. Princess Varilla found him there, under the rising sun. She was dressed not in armor, but in a long royal cloak, soft silver, the symbol of peace. Her hair was braided with golden threads. Her eyes, which once laughed at him, now held only understanding. "You're leaving," she said softly. Ryan nodded. "Soon." "Why?" she asked. "I didn't come to stay," he said. "I came to make sure your world would still have a tomorrow." Varilla looked down. "It will. Because of you." A long silence passed between them. Ryan finally asked, "Do they still think I'm weak?" Varilla smiled. "No. Now they think you're impossible." He laughed a little, soft and quiet. "Good." A ceremony was held that evening. Not one of battle, but of honor. The great hall was filled with warriors, leaders, and families. Banners of all houses hung from the walls. Candles glowed like stars. The air was still, respectful. The alien king stood at the front. Beside him stood Varilla. They called Ryan forward. He walked slowly, without fear, without pride. The crowd parted for him like water. Every step he took echoed with silence. The king raised his voice. "On this day, we honor not just a warrior, but a protector. Not just a fighter, but a teacher. Not just a human, but a hero." He turned to Varilla. She stepped forward and held out a small glowing crest, a golden symbol of her house. "This," she said, "is the mark of royal blood. No outsider has ever held it." The room was silent. Then slowly, in front of all, Princess Varilla bent one knee and bowed her head. To the human. Gasps filled the room. No one expected it. No one had ever seen a royal bow to a visitor, to a warrior from a different world. But Varilla did not care. She stayed bowed, holding out the crest with both hands. "You once stood before me, and I laughed," she said. "Now I bow before you, because I see what I was blind to. Strength is not only in the body. It is in the heart, in choice, in sacrifice." Ryan gently took the crest, his hand steady. "I didn't come for honor," he said. "That's why you deserve it," she replied. He helped her to her feet, and the two stood eye to eye. The hall erupted into cheers. That night, a feast was held. Laughter filled the palace. Stories of Ryan's battle spread like fire. Young warriors copied his training style. Older soldiers spoke his name with respect. But Ryan stayed quiet. At midnight, when the stars were high, he stood alone at the edge of the city, near the ship that would take him home. Varilla came one last time. "You could stay," she said. He looked at her. "I'm not a hero," he replied. "I'm just a man trying to do the right thing." She reached into her cloak and handed him a small box. "Then take this. It's a piece of our sky, for the dark nights ahead." He opened it. Inside was a crystal that glowed like a star. "Thank you," he whispered. She stepped closer. "What will you do now?" "Go where I'm needed," he said. "Somewhere out there, someone else is laughing at a weak human." Varilla smiled. "Then I feel sorry for them." The ship's engine came to life. Ryan stepped inside, paused at the door, and gave her one last look. "Goodbye, princess." She nodded. "Goodbye, protector." And then he was gone. As the ship disappeared into the stars, Princess Varilla placed her hand over her heart. And quietly, she whispered to the wind, "I laughed at the weak human, but he left as the strongest warrior I have ever known."